Isis Brown, and we will be discussing, we are from Bloomsbury Charter School, and today we will be discussing problems and solutions to the closure of Syringa Mobile Home Park. To assist us today with this project, we worked with the UI Legal Aid Clinic on this project. We also received help from the Moscow Housing Trust, Sojourners Alliance, Habitat for Humanity, Family Promise, and the Humane Society. The residents of Syringa are being forced to move out when the park closes. The issue of Syringa Mobile Home Park closing is that some of those people that live there are now struggling to find affordable housing someplace else. Many can't find a place lived easily. But before we get into the specifics, Amelia is now going to be talking about the history of Syringa and what led to it closing.
In the early 1980s, Magar took ownership of Syringa Mobile Home Park, had a park, a pool, and recreation center. But after a while, people started to see that Mr. Magar's ownership was not in compliance with the law. The water was contaminated lead, the pool broke, and the roads weren't cared for, and the sewage lagoon was overflowing into Paradise Creek. Mr. Magar had a bad reputation of not paying his workers, so nothing ever got fixed. From December 18th, 2013 to March 20th, 2014, there was a 93-day period in which Syringa had no drinkable water, causing them to shut off the water. When they shut off the water and nothing was flowing through the pipes anymore, the pipes rose up. The sewage then backed up and started coming out of the pipes into the residents' homes. When Mr. Magar didn't do anything to fix it, he was forced to give each resident $100 a day until he did something about it. Mr. Magar then filed bankruptcy and left the state. As people move out, many of them can't take their houses with them, so the houses get red tagged and nobody can live in them anymore. These issues continue to grow until it got to the point where it would be far more expensive to repair than Mr. Magar would be willing to pay. This has led to the closing of Syringa in June and a housing crisis that could possibly leave people homeless. Trifina will now be introducing the complications for the people who are now being forced to move out of Syringa.
We're here today to talk to you about moving costs, pets, affordable housing, existing laws, and our proposal to help with the issue of access to affordable housing in Latah County. Our next group will be talking about moving costs. The people in this group are Holly, Morgan, Mia, and Lena.
Hello, I'm going to introduce you to the issue of moving costs for Syringa. For the people living in Syringa, moving is a big problem. The residents of Syringa Mobile Home Park have mobile homes too old or broken to move. And once they leave, they can't come back to their mobile home. The park is closing on June 5th, 2018, and the residents need help. Syringa residents have put their life savings into these homes. Then again, there are other problems with moving, like having to pay for a new home, or just paying to move items from their mobile home. There are 3 organizations helping with this issue: the Habitat for Humanity, the Sojourners Alliance, and the Family Promise. To speak more about this issue, we'll be Morgan.
Family Promise is an organization that helps with homelessness and housing for those living on a fixed or low income. Their mission is to help homeless and low-income families achieve sustainable independence through community-based response. But as this organization has few programs that help with moving, park residents will have to stay in their homes or become homeless when the park closes. Many of the Syringa residents are not in the designated bracket of 40 to 20% below a steady income, so they do not qualify for aid with many organizations, including the Family Promise. Many of the Syringa residents are also working 40-plus hour work weeks or work 2 jobs and don't have enough time off to move when the park closes. Paid leave for taking time off to move could help with this issue. That is completely up to the employer's discretion, and it is very unlikely that they would do this. If the government forced businesses to do this, it would be a violation of their rights. Another issue is the residents of Syringa have a stigma. And because of this stigma, many organizations and landlords are not willing to help these tenants, and that is a barrier to moving out and receiving much-needed aid from the public. Also, some Moscow residents have false and stereotypical views of mobile home parks or mobile home parks in general, so it would be difficult to put a new one in or near the city. It is no coincidence that Syringa was made outside of city limits.
The Habitat for Humanity is a non-profit organization that helps people build homes themselves or improve the ones that they already live in.
They also promote affordable housing to end the cycle of poverty. The people that sign up for this program help build their own homes along with volunteers. Habitat for Humanity's goal is to build decent, affordable houses for low-income people. Their vision is a world where everybody has a decent place to live and to bring people together to build homes, communities, and hope. But if the people starting to build a home with Habitat for Humanity, they have to be able to pay the mortgage, which they may not be able to afford. On top of that, to build their home, they have to pay a down fee of $1,000, that's about $550 a month. They also have to spend at least 300 to 400 hours working on their own home, or a minimum of 100 hours per primary applicant, working for at least 60 hours a month. Along with payments, they must meet one or more of these conditions about their housing situation to apply. Their contribution to rent exceeds 35% of net income. The size of the house is inadequate for the number of residents currently present, has unsafe or poor conditions, or is demonstrating a need for a type of housing that Habitat for Humanity can provide. Another problem is that the residents assume they need to move by June 5th, and building houses is a long process, not fast enough for the residents to move in before they get evicted. Habitat for Humanity went to Syringa about 2 years ago to tell them about their home building program and encouraging them to apply. Nobody has applied yet. Most of the people in Syringa work 40 plus hours a week on minimum wage or more, therefore have no time to move or build their own home. These people make about $1,250 a month, and before they have money to build their own homes, they have to do taxes, bills, and food. They did not make enough money to pay $550 a month and spare at least 300 hours to make their home.
The Soldiers Alliance is focused on helping people get back on their feet. This involves helping with finding jobs, building houses, and moving. Their mission statement is, the Soldiers Alliance is a private, non-profit organization formed with a vision of dignity and respect for all people. Our mission is to confront the barriers leading to hunger, homelessness, and poverty and direction to benefit those in need by providing a safe and comfortable living environment receiving intensive case management. The owner of the Soldiers Alliance is Steve Bonner, and after the Moscow home shelter burnt down, he turned his focus to giving help to anyone who needs it. The residents of Syringa definitely fall into this category. After the Moscow home, Mr. Bonner applied for a government grant of $12,000, which he received, and was granted $2,010 from the Unitarian Church of the Palouse. The issue is he can only use this money 1 week before the residents have to move out. Also, in the grand scheme of things, this money isn't very much at all. It costs about $25,000 to move one household, mostly for moving the trailer. All the residents that could move their trailer already have. Without the trailer, it doesn't only cost about $6,000, but still, this money could only move 2 or 3 families. There are 20 families in Syringa who need help.
Another problem is the stigma of Syringa. Many landlords refuse to help or release property to the residents of Syringa. Even if the people do have the money, the stigma is moving aid from the public. This qualifies as fair housing discrimination, but there are ways to get around this. A lot of people in Syringa have small criminal records or other things that do not reflect well on them, giving them a bad reputation.
Mr. McGar, the former owner of Syringa, is set to pay a $280,000 fine for the 2013 and 14 period of time where they went without water for 93 days. This will give, split among about 120 residents, this will give each of them about $2,000 after the fees are paid. This could seriously help them with paying their costs and finding a new home.
Syringa is outside of city limits, but is in the county, so there is something that the county can do. There's a county organization called Utah County Social Services, and people can apply to get aid from them if they are refused by these other organizations. And so, if the Syringa residents go to the Habitat for Humanity, Police Family Promise, and the Sojourners Alliance, who cannot receive aid from them based on their income level being too high, then qualify for limited financial aid with this organization, but they have to pay it back.
There's a man named Gary Lester who owns a mobile home park near Moscow. He is willing to pay 3 months of rent to possibly cover some of the moving costs. This trailer park has only taken about 5 new residents, so this couldn't help everyone. This could help with affordable housing and moving costs. Since this trailer park is near Moscow, the residents could keep their jobs and the children could stay in school. It's a large step in the right direction.
There are many people who want to help but don't know how to go about it. There are some ideas for small affordable housing around Moscow, but no one has a definite plan. Around Moscow, there are some companies that focus on housing, but many people forget how big a deal moving can be. It costs too much to run a U-Haul or a moving truck, and because of the stigma of Syringa, it is hard to even get movers out there. There are some ways to help with this, but we are far from a solution. There are not only problems with moving, but there are also issues with housing, rent, and animals in Syringa. Now from around that subject, Izzy, Juan, and Olivia.
Hello, I am Izzy, and this is Wanda and Aaliyah, and we will be talking about the issue with pets in Syringa. In this process, the 6th grade class has been studying the case of Syringa closing, but the 3 of us have been studying the hidden issue, in specifically pets in Syringa. Many people that are being forced to move out with their pets can only rent apartments because their trailers are either run down, broken, or unsafe to live in. Most apartments do not allow pets. The Humane Society will not take any pets from Syringa because the pets that come from Syringa are most of the time not vaccinated and carry diseases. Many people are just leaving their pets, which is considered a misdemeanor, meaning that some people are being forced to break the law.
There are multiple issues with pets in Syringa. One of them is most apartments do not allow pets, which make people have less housing options. Another issue is the Humane Society. They won't take animals from Syringa because they have had multiple mistakes with the pets from Syringa.
Section 25-3505 of Idaho Codes clearly states that whoever carries or causes to be carried in or upon any vehicle or otherwise any animal in a cruel manner will be punished according to Idaho Code Section 25-3520A. Causing an animal to live in a car and or vehicle could be considered carrying an animal in a cruel manner.
The Humane Society have had a lot of inspections, or have had to conduct many inspections to make sure the diseases the animals brought don't spread to other animals and get sick. Another issue is the people in Syringa are being forced to move because the park is closing, and they have nowhere to live and are being forced to move because of, in order to take care of their pets. These mobile homes are typically run down, resulting in an inability to move the home to a different mobile home park. This situation could potentially force residents to live in their cars. In addition, some people in Syringa have a disability and they need a support animal to help them, and they can't take them into apartments.
Section 25-3520A of Idaho Codes clearly states that if you're convicted of one of these misdemeanors, you will have to pay the fine of no less than $100, no more than $5,000, or be sentenced to a maximum of 6 months in jail, or by both punishments.
These issues on pets are very bad, and if we don't do something about this, we are potentially setting up a situation where people may be forced to break the law, and many animals' lives will be put at risk. Thank you for listening. Next up, we have the Affordable Housing Group.
My name is Antonia. This is Ella and Indigo. We are talking about affordable housing. I believe that the Syringa housing crisis is a wicked problem. The reason that I believe that the housing crisis is a wicked problem is because of all the little problems that surround them. In order to solve the big problem, you have to solve all of them. Here are some of the smaller but also important problems that need to be addressed. The first would be that if the residents had bought a trailer and then they lived in it for a long time, then by the time that they'd be forced out, the trailer might be too old to move and people will not have anywhere to live. The second, but harder to fix problem, is the minimum wage in Idaho. It's still at the same spot of $7.25. However, the affordable housing cost is sadly moving up instead of down, so that it's harder to get a house at an affordable cost. It is hard to address this problem because the minimum wage cannot just move up. As for the affordable housing price, it is rising because the prices tend to go up. While not all things are in our control, some are. Up next to talk more about this is Ella.
According to the Idaho Assessment of Fair Housing, the following classes are protected by the state of Idaho: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, and providers with 2 or more properties. The classes that are protected by the FHA are the following: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, and disability. As you can see, neither the FHA nor the state of Idaho protects middle-income residents. Keeping this in mind, even though the residents living in Syringa own their homes, they don't own the land that they live on. The problem that occurs from this is that the residents living in Syringa cannot move their homes and cannot afford to rent an apartment. One option of affordable housing for the residents living in Syringa is to move into the apartments that the University of Idaho students were previously living in. This is because Steve Bonner of the Sojourners Alliance convinced the Board of Moscow Affordable Housing to expand the Syringa closing date to June 5th instead of March 5th. One way that they can afford to pay the rent is with the $280,000 that Mr. Regar had to give to all of the residents of Syringa after the water crisis settlement.
Idaho statutes Title 67, Chapter 65 states that local land use and planning confer zoning powers on cities and counties. Such bodies are required to prepare a comprehensive plan that addresses, among other land use factors, an analysis of housing conditions and needs, including the need for low-cost housing. End quote. Zoning can be a big problem for low-cost housing. You could basically zone out low-cost housing. We could zone in low-cost housing, but that wouldn't really fit Moscow's personality. This leaves us with the option of the city buying land with the intention of developing public housing on it, but that would be difficult to accomplish and not be the best option. The other option is to have a percent of housing be affordable in the town. We could look at Teton County for an example of this. According to Teton County Land Development Regulations, Section 7, Part B, Purpose, states that, quote, the purpose of this division is to ensure that there is a reasonable supply of affordable housing to meet the needs of the citizens of Teton County in order to restore social, economic, and political fabric in the county and its community. Teton County Land Development Regulations 7-25, Article 7. This is done through the establishment of affordable housing standards of new residential developments. That requires a provision of affordable housing or an alternative, a donation or contribution of in lieu fees in an amount proportionate to the need that the new residential development creates for affordable housing units in the community. End quote. The amount of affordable housing is a huge deal that needs to be addressed. We could do this with zoning, but there is not enough demand to justify a whole district of low-cost housing. Keeping this in mind, we could go Teton County's way and sprinkle a little bit of affordable housing on future developments.
Hello, my name is Haley, this is Kieran, and this is Aubrey. Idaho tenants have very few rights around housing. One of the 3 rights they do have is the ability to file a suit against a landlord for failure to maintain plumbing, heating, electricity, cooling, and sanitary living conditions. However, there are no laws preventing discrimination against low-income tenants. There are also no laws providing housing protection to these tenants. That having been said, the current Syringa residents will have to leave their homes, many taking a full loss, and will now have to be confronted with the housing market that dishonors them and doesn't offer any legal protection. Now speaking on city and county powers is Kieran.
The residents of Syringa had spent 93 days straight without water, as well as several days without sewage. Thus, they're forced to live in unsanitary or unsafe dwellings, without the possibility to move due to low income. Fortunately for these residents, there must be a reserve of safe and sanitary dwellings in the county at affordable rent. Another power the county possesses is the ability to create housing authorities. In Idaho Legislature Section 31-4205, it states, in any county of the state of Idaho, there may be created an independent public body, corporate and political, to be known as a housing authority. This means that counties can create housing authorities that provide housing to low-income people. Another part of Idaho Legislature Section 31-4205 that would greatly assist Syringa is when it states, the governing body shall adopt a resolution declaring that there is a need for a housing authority in the county to shall find A, that insanitary or unsafe inhabited dwelling accommodations exist in such county, or B, that there is a shortage of safe or sanitary dwelling accommodations in such county available to persons of low income or rentals they can afford. The majority of the Syringa houses are unsanitary, and there is a shortage of safe and sanitary dwellings in Moscow. This means that there is a great need for a housing authority. The biggest power the counties and cities possess that would assist Syringa is in Idaho Legislature, Section 50-1904. It states, within the area of operation, to prepare, carry out, acquire, lease, and operate housing projects. To provide for the construction, reconstruction, improvement, alteration, or repair of any housing project or any part thereof. This means that counties have the power to clean up, repair, and acquire housing projects. Now speaking on the rent issue will be Kieran.
All remaining Syringa tenants are currently either unemployed or paid minimum wage, which, according to Idaho state law, is $7.25 an hour. That hardly leaves them with enough money to pay rent, taxes, food and water for pets, insurance, and internet.
According to Idaho state law, tenants can't legally withhold rent due to bad living conditions, among other things. However, if a tenant were to move to a new trailer park, apartment, or some other place that can provide affordable housing, the landlord may allow the tenant to write a post-dated check, though the recipient is under no obligation to hold the check. Although a landlord may choose not to allow a tenant a post-dated check, if a tenant requests one and the landlord complies, then that tenant may be able to wait until they receive a paycheck or come into a sum of money until they have to pay rent, which may make food, water, and other necessary things already listed easier to afford during that period of time. This would only happen if a remaining Syringa tenant would be able to find a place offering affordable housing. There are various places in Moscow and Ladau County offering affordable housing, some of which a remaining Syringa tenant may be able to afford. That is another reason why our community needs additional affordable housing options. And now, here's Autumn.
As you can see, the tenants of Syringa are treated very poorly. All of the residents in Syringa are paid, if anything, very little, so they can't afford almost any other housing. The low-income tenants that live in Syringa face many different but intertwining issues. It is very hard for a tenant to even be able to pay rent, but there are ways to help them, such as the county giving tax benefits to the tenants in Syringa that are paid minimum wage or don't even have a job. However, it would be pretty hard to organize this sort of tax benefit, especially for more than a dozen people. Both counties and cities have the power to create their own rentable housing, so that might be a solution. But, as was said, there's also a very small possibility that Mr. Megara will allow the tenants a post-dated check, which means that the tenants can pay their rent after they have a while to wait for more money. And to wrap things up, here's Addie and Raven.
Hi, I'm Addie, and this is Raven, and we would like to propose some solutions for this housing crisis.
Thank you so much for your consideration on this important issue of affordable housing for current Syringa residents. We would like to propose a three-step approach that you could present to the county commissioners or city council to help solve some of the major issues in this housing crisis.
The three tests we believe that will allow us to provide additional solutions to the housing issue of Syringa are as follows. Number 1, apply to the state to create a housing authority in Latah County. In Title 31, Chapter 42 of the Idaho statute, it states that the government shall deem the county worthy of a housing authority if such county has a shortage of safe and sanitary affordable housing. Latah County could very well qualify for a housing authority with the criteria within these statutes. If Latah County does create a housing authority, we would be able to pass the following ordinances that address specific issues in this housing crisis. Number 2, to address the issue of lack of affordable housing in Latah County, we propose the following ordinance. All housing developers within county limits must commit 15% of units to qualify as affordable housing. If not, they shall pay a fee to the Moscow Affordable Housing Trust. Number 3, in order to help solve the problem of high moving costs, we believe the following ordinance should be passed. Latah County will provide moving vouchers for residents or families forced to move due to factors out of their control, who also have a yearly income less than $25,000.
Winston Churchill once said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." We have an opportunity to use this crisis as a way to help so many people. Not only will we help the current residents, but these solutions will help others afford proper housing. If we choose to act now, we are ensuring that if there is a similar predicament in the future, we will have the proper supports and services to help guide the individuals who need affordable housing. Again, we thank you for your consideration.
Wow, I'd like to take this group of people down to Boise and address the state legislature. You guys have done a fabulous job on that.